Alright, good morning people of YouTube. So this time we are back with what I believe to be a really cool list for the EX5 format. This time we have Liollmon Vaccine. So this deck is a Liollmon style deck that does utilize the Patamon engine that we were introduced to in BT14, and with the Emissary of Hope and that BT14 TK to get really cheap evos, kind of tailor our security, and then get up into a level 6 really quickly and start controlling the board. So if you guys like this kind of content, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and start by card. So for the eggs, there's a couple different ways that you could go about this. The Liollmon, I think, is the best one that you can choose, just because if a card is removed from your security stack, you get jamming, that'll trigger with a Patamon. It'll even trigger with your new Liollmon from EX5, which is really kind of nice. Giving your stack jamming is really cool, especially whenever you are doing the combo with the Liollmon in this new set. So this combo could work with the Liollmon from EX5 as well, but the Liollmon is a yellow card that is a vaccine, so Patamon can grab it out of our security and evolve into it, which will trigger the Liollmon to give this card jamming. And then this card can swing at your opponent's security with jamming and then trigger its when attacking effect to evolve into a level 5 Liollmon card for ultra cheap. So this is a really effective egg at letting you get started with all of your cool plays. And so it is the one I recommend. However, this Liollmon evolves for 1 off of any yellow or green egg that is not Freemon. So, if you did want to adjust these ratios, currently I have a full house split, you could go 4 and 1, or you could even omit this Freemon entirely. To be honest, this Freemon isn't really that good of an egg, so you could just cut this card if you don't want to play it. But this card does give you cheaper access into your rookies, so that is something to consider. I do really like the Liollmon because of that Evolve Up combo, because swinging with a level 5 into your opponent's security isn't always safe. So going right ahead into the rookies, we got 4 copies of this Patamon because this card is just absurd. Being able to evolve for free and then gain a memory off of it is really good. This card's inheritable effect will just keep triggering as turns progress as long as you keep that stack, and this is just one of the best rookies they've ever printed. Moving right along, I am playing this Liollmon from BT13 as kind of an extra egg, and that is as an extra level 3 Liollmon name, and that is because Liollmon evolves for 2 off of a Liollmon or an Elecmon. So this card can make your stacks a little bit cheaper. The rest of our rookies do fulfill that criteria, so that is pretty nice. A little bit of a side note, because this is named Liollmon, you can play the EX5 Liollmon if you choose. That card is green and black, so I'm not choosing to include it in this list because it doesn't have any synergy with this Patamon at all. But that is something that you could do with a yellow base. You could evolve this Liollmon into even a green card going forward because of that alternate text box. But this card is kind of nice. If a card is removed from your security, you gain a memory. This card combos really well with your TK from BT14, but mostly it is in here just for another name. If you don't like this card, you could substitute this card for Floodgates like Cutemon or Pillowmon, or even cards like Liollmon to help make your deck a little bit more consistent. Or you could add in more copies of this Elecmon. So for the rest of the rookies, I am playing 4 copies of the Liollmon from EX5, and 1 copy of the Elecmon from EX5. The reason we are only including 1 copy of this Elecmon is because it can only evolve off of half of our eggs. It is not a yellow card or a vaccine card, so it doesn't have any synergy with really the rest of our deck. And it can only evolve into half of our level 5s. But it's got a great inheritable effect of on deletion D-Digivolve, and it's an on-play searcher for most of the cards that you want to be searching in this deck. So I do really like that. It's in archetype, and it's overall a fantastic card. But this Liollmon from EX5 is also a really good card. This card lets you search your security stack for a Liollmon card, put it in your hand, and if you added 1, you recover. So this will trigger all of your Liollmons that are under Digimon that you have in play. And then it's got a nice on-deletion of giving something minus 2,000, which lets you stack with a bunch of your other effects to make something else go down whenever they blow up your stack. So that's pretty nice, but this is a good searcher. It's in archetype, and we love to see it. So for the level 4s, we got our standard vaccine offenders. We got the one copy of this Geogreymon here, the one copy of this Rapidmon here, and the one copy of the Angemon. We didn't really have deck space for more copies of this Angemon, so this card is just kind of a tech slot against decks that are kind of hard to beat, like Machinedramon or Black War Greymon X. Decks that just kind of sit there and turtle will give you a little bit of a hard time, especially the virus ones that have all of those crazy sources. So this is something that really helps with that. Same with Rapidmon, and these cards kind of just help you win out against problem matchups. We also have, for our Liollmon engine, we have the Liollmon and the Liollmon from EX1. The Liollmon from EX1 has a really cool effect that says if it's at the end of the security battle, if you have 3 or fewer security cards, you get to recover. So this is an optimal card to put into your security off of effects like the TK from BT14. And it is a Liollmon, so it is in Archetype, which is pretty cool. I've kind of already gone over this combo with the Liollmon going up into the level 5, but it's one of the main pieces you want to be seeing. It's your main level 4 of the deck. And again, if you want to double down on this when attacking effect, you could choose to include the EX5 Liollmon. I am not, because it's not searchable off of like physical training or any of those other effects, so I feel like this is enough. And that is the 11 level 4s that we are playing. For our level 5s, we are still playing the Magna Angemon Ace because this card is just absurd. If you are going into any deck that has yellow level 4s that have the potential to sit on the field for a little bit, this is a great card to use. Yeah, and it's just overall fantastic. We have the Loader Liollmon from EX5. This card has a really cool new keyword called Indomitable, which makes it really sticky. If you're swinging this Liollmon into your opponent's security, and let's say you didn't have the Kiaramon inheritable, then you evolve into this Loader Liollmon, and now you're swinging with this card into their security. Well, let's say you die into the first security check. You now have this new keyword Indomitable, which says you get to play this card back as long as it had sources when it was deleted. So that's pretty cool. It's got an on-play and when digivolving, so if that happens, you'll trigger this effect twice, which says one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3k. That can trigger with this Liollmon from EX5 that says on deletion one of your opponents gets minus 2,000, so now you're deleting an 8k. Even with the Liollmon, which doubles down on that effect, now you're deleting a 10k. It's pretty cool. It's a really nice effect. And having level 5s that are stickier means that this deck is going to outlast some matchups. So I really like that. And we did want to play one more level 5 that was in Archetype. Again, you could choose to include the Grap Liollmon from EX5. That card is green and black like the Liollmon from EX5, so I am not choosing to include it because it doesn't have synergy with Emissary. Instead, I am choosing this Loader Liollmon from BT13, and this card kind of has a similar situation going for it. It has Barrier, both as a main effect and an inheritable, which means that this card is just kind of sticky. Your opponent can't really swing over this unless you are willing to let them, as long as you have security to trash, which you should because it's a yellow deck. And if you're at less than 5 security, or if both players are at less than 6 combined, that actually fulfills a separate condition for you to let you play your Bancho Leo for really cheap. So this is a really nice card. I do like just having 5 level 5s that just are hard to remove, and it helps us get into this Bancho Leo pretty effectively. So this card is really fantastic. Like I said, if there are 6 or fewer total security cards in both players' stack, you can reduce the play cost by 5, making this just a 7 cost. There are times in the mid to late game where you will promote your Patamon, use its effect, gain a memory. Let's say you have the TK in play. So now you're at 4 or 5 memory, depending on how many TK you had and what combination you had. And so then you can kind of sit on a level 4 and hard slam this guy for 7 to pass your turn. So you will have this guy's on-play effect trigger to suspend something and give it sec attack -1 until the end of their next turn, which means you're taking less damage. That you give it a -4,000 that carries over until the end of their turn. And then if they attack with something, you can take the level 4 that your Patamon evolved into and turn it into this Magna Angemon Ace, kill it with this effect, recover up a little bit, and then have this card be threatening to evolve into one of these guys, either another Bancholeomon or like a Shadow Seraphi or something, on your following turn, and you are putting your opponent in a position where they can't really play the game. It's a really effective strategy, and I really like this for yellow moving forward because it allows you to play this kind of strategy that just lets you turtle out while constantly maintaining advantage. Bancholeomon is a really, really cool card, and I'm really excited to be playtesting with it. Yeah, it's an on-play and when digivolving, suspend something, and then if something suspends during any turn, you give something minus 4k and sec attack minus 1. So if they even swing to attack, you can give that attacker sec attack minus 1, which means maybe it's not doing damage, or maybe if they're playing Wargreymon OTK, they don't have enough damage to fulfill their OTK condition, which is really nice. I really think this is a fantastic card, and it finds itself being played in a lot of decks. You could play this with Leopardmon X, you could play this in set control. Like, this is a really fantastic card, and I expect people to be using this a lot going forward. So we are playing the Shadow Seraphimon from EX4 to kind of round out our level 6 package. You could play Heavy Liollmon in the slot. This is kind of just a tech slot because this card just exudes overwhelming control. If they swing into you, you de-digivolve them, and if they kill this, you recover and then blow something up. This can combo with a lot of your other effects that stack on deletion. This is just a really fantastic card. And then we play Shine Greymon Ruin Mode as our last Digimon in the deck, just because this is a yellow deck. This is a vaccine card, so we can kind of play around with it, with grabbing it with physical training. Something else you could choose to include in a deck like this is Quartzmon, because Bancholeomon is a green level 6, so it can evolve into Quartz. And Shadow Seraphimon is a black level 6, so it can also evolve into Quartz. I'm just choosing not to include Quartz because I can't grab it off of physical training. But yeah, for the rest of the deck, we just got the 3 physical training, the 3 Emissary of Hope, the 3 TK from BT1, and the 4 TK from BT14. You know, your standard yellow package to round out the consistency of the deck and let your deck gain the memory and gain the resources that it needs to do everything. Emissary of Hope I don't think should be played at any more than 3 copies. You could find room for a 4th physical training if you wanted a little bit more consistency, but you have a lot of effects that are choosing to let you digivolve when attacking or fulfill other criteria. So I feel like 3 is kind of the perfect number for me, and I love this ratio of TKs. I swear by 4 copies of the BT14 TK in pretty much any yellow vaccine deck that isn't Mastamon, and the only reason you wouldn't play 4 copies of this in Mastamon is purely because of room in the deck. But this deck has the room to play around with. Like, there are so many slots that you can mess with if you want to adjust some of these ratios, and I expect this deck to be something that a lot of people at least try out moving forward. I think it's a really strong deck, and it does have its merits going into the format, so try it out. Let me know what you guys think. So we will see you all in the next profile, and I hope you all have a good one. Bye, everyone.